It began with a whisper. Not an album announcement, not a concert date, but a small, almost unnoticed headline. Adele to make her acting debut in Tom Ford's Cry to Heaven. Suddenly, the world paused. We aren't just talking about a singer stepping into a film, we're witnessing a transformation. The British songstress, whose name alone sparks millions of streams, who turned heartbreak into hit after hit, is now saying, "I'm ready for something else." And she isn't easing in. She's diving into a period drama, directed by Tom Ford, based on a novel by Anne Rice, with an all-star cast, filming in Rome and London, release in 2026. The magnitude of the move is breathtaking, because this isn't a cameo. It isn't a 10-minute part in a comedy. This is a full-on entrance into a world she once only observed. And the reason it matters so much isn't just because of her talent. It's because of what it signals. For years, Adele has shaped her career with precision. A debut album at 19. A breakout single that captured grief and the globe. She made music that felt like film. When she sang Hello, we didn't just listen, we felt scenes behind the words. Now, she's stepping into actual cinema. The story she's signed up for is astonishing. Cry to Heaven, set in 18th century Italy, between a Venetian nobleman and a gifted boy trained for the opera after a brutal sacrifice. Economic power, identity, betrayal, music swelling in grand halls. It's rich material. Dark, bold, layered. The kind of film that asks more questions than it answers. And Adele, known for her voice, now relies on her expression, her presence, her silence. Suddenly, her artistry is being tested in another medium. That image of her behind the mic, already iconic. This new image behind the camera, undetermined. Think of it this way. When Adele sings, she invites you to lean in. When she acts, she will demand you to look. It's a shift from listening to watching, from knowing to discovering. And for the public, it raises the stakes. Fans ask, will she sing? Will she speak? Will she transform? And critics, they already wonder, is this path wise? Can a global music icon, steeped in personal myth, succeed where so many have failed the transition into acting? Consider the backdrop. Adele's last major public commitment, a sold-out residency in Las Vegas. She wrapped up that era, announced a hiatus. The stage lights dimmed. The world speculated, what's next? The answer now emerges. Film. And not just any film. One crafted by a visionary who knows image and allure deeply. Tom Ford, designer turned filmmaker, is both craftsperson and auteur. His previous films were sleek, stylish, emotional. Now he stakes a new venture, and Adele is right beside him. In one interview, Ford reportedly said he wanted to spend the next 2 decades making films. He'd outgrown fashion. Adele, similarly, seems to have outgrown the confines of the mic stand. The timing thus feels poetic. Yet, in the surreal glow of an Instagram announcement and digital headlines, the core remains human, a woman searching for a new way to be seen. The creation of this project signals intention rather than chance. Filming in 2 major European capitals, launching in the autumn of 2026. The cast reads like a who's who. Nicholas Hoult, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Colin Firth, Paul Bettany, and Adele, her name nestled there amidst acting royalty and rising stars. That placement demands a moment of reckoning. Not, can she pretend to act? But can she carry her place at the table with the gravitas the others already hold? It's not a question of identity anymore. It's a question of presence, who she will be when differently looked at. And as she moves toward the role, the cameras, the headlines, the memes, they amplify. Because we don't just wonder about the role, we wonder what the role will do to her. When she steps toward that camera, the public will follow. The question will shift from, which album is next? To which character is this woman now? In the flicker light of social media, that question echoes. She left the spotlight to rest. Now she's reclaiming it in a new guise. And even if she falters, we'll remember the attempt. Because attempts from icons shift culture. They invite debate. They force reflection. But beyond all the noise, the simple truth remains. Adele is ready to act. Whether the camera accommodates her or not is yet to be seen. And that tension, that's the fuel of this story. We'll come back soon to explore how this move reflects more than a career shift. It reflects a changing era of celebrity, of music, of fame itself. Music swells, then softens to a single chord, and as the titles roll into pre-production, the stage is set. We watch, we wait. Because when Adele performs her first scene on film, the world won't just hear her voice, we'll see it. When Adele stepped onto the set of Cry to Heaven, the energy was nothing like a concert arena. No flashing lights, no crowd waiting to sing along. Just silence, focus, and an orchestra of quiet professionals moving around one another like clockwork. A makeup artist brushes powder from her collarbone. A cinematographer checks the light on her cheekbone. Tom Ford sits at a monitor, studying her face as if it's a landscape. And for a moment, Adele seems almost weightless, out of place, yet completely at home. Because if there's one thing she's always understood, it's emotion. Acting, after all, is emotion in motion. The film itself, based on Anne Rice's 1982 novel, is a dark, decadent story about identity and sacrifice. It explores what happens when beauty is manufactured and art becomes survival. It's sensual, gothic, tragic. And Tom Ford's decision to cast Adele wasn't about stunt or star power. Insiders say he wanted someone who could feel the story, not just perform it. And in a way, who better than Adele? A woman who's built her empire on vulnerability, on raw, unfiltered truth wrapped in melody. She has spent 15 years singing other people's pain and her own. Now, she's embodying it. Reports from the set describe her first days as cautious but deliberate. Crew members say she approached acting the same way she records an album. Obsessive, detail-oriented, patient. Every movement rehearsed until it looked spontaneous. Every line repeated until it felt lived in. Between takes, she reportedly hummed softly to herself. Not a song, just small vibrations to find rhythm in silence. And Tom Ford, known for his precision, was mesmerized by how instinctively she worked with the camera. He told Variety, "She understands stillness. Some actors fill silence with noise. Adele lets it breathe." The production design mirrors her aesthetic perfectly. Venetian canals, candlelight, Baroque textures, and the constant pulse of music violins that ache like a broken heart. Ford's films are always about surfaces that hide storms. Adele fits right in. Her character, Lucia, is a noble woman whose grief becomes her only form of rebellion. She's elegant, tragic, defiant. Watching her, even in leaked rehearsal footage, you can sense that tension between control and collapse. It's the same energy she channels on stage, just reframed. The performance doesn't feel like a singer pretending. It feels like someone who's lived too many emotions to fake any of them. Hollywood's reaction, of course, has been explosive. One half calls it genius, a natural next step for an artist who already feels cinematic. The other half calls it risky, a singer stepping into dangerous territory. But that's the paradox of Adele. She's never chased trends. She's made sincerity fashionable. And in an era obsessed with reinvention where every celebrity tries to stay relevant by rebranding, her move doesn't feel desperate. It feels inevitable, like she's simply letting her art grow another limb. Behind the camera, Tom Ford is crafting the perfect environment for her debut. He's merging high fashion with emotional ruin themes he's built his career on. He once said he's drawn to stories about beauty and decay. And Adele, who can turn heartbreak into platinum, embodies both. She's glamorous and grounded, radiant and relatable. It's that duality, the every woman wrapped in silk, that makes her hypnotic on screen. When she smiles, it's soft, almost apologetic, as if she's still surprised the world cares so much. When she cries, it's silent but devastating. She doesn't have to perform grief. She is grief, distilled into posture, breath, and gaze. The crew calls her a director's dream. No ego, no entourage. She jokes between takes, swears like a sailor, and drinks tea out of a chipped mug she brought from home. One costume designer said, "She's a bit like Meryl Streep, but funnier." She listens, she learns, and then she does something you didn't expect. That spontaneity is what Tom Ford built his entire vision around: imperfection. The way life breaks through polish. And with Adele, there's always that crack in the porcelain, that tiny imperfection that makes everything feel real. But there's also an undercurrent of fear. Adele's inner circle knows she's terrified of failure, not the reviews, but the feeling of letting people down. She's admitted in interviews that fame still overwhelms her, that she sometimes wishes she could disappear for years and come back when the noise has quieted. And stepping into film is the loudest move she's ever made. Acting exposes you differently. You can't hide behind melody or metaphor. The camera sees everything, the doubt, the self-consciousness, the humanity. And that's exactly why this project matters. It's not a career pivot, it's a test of authenticity. Meanwhile, fans dissect every behind-the-scenes photo. There's one that went viral, a shot of her standing on a marble staircase, dressed in deep crimson velvet, looking out over a hall of flickering candles. No dialogue, just atmosphere. But it spread across Twitter like wildfire. Thousands of comments. "She already looks like she's about to win an Oscar," one fan wrote. Another said, "She's giving 1800s heartbreak energy." Even critics who doubted her couldn't deny the magnetism of the image. It's cinematic, romantic, tragic. In other words, Adele. The studio is keeping plot details under wraps, but insiders claim her role will anchor the film's emotional core. While male leads navigate ambition and betrayal, she embodies conscience, a living mirror for the story's moral decay. It's the kind of part that turns singers into actors. Think Lady Gaga in A Star is Born, Cher in Moonstruck, or even Barbra Streisand in The Way We Wear. Every generation has one, the voice that learns to speak differently. And now it's Adele's turn. Industry analysts are already calling it the most anticipated debut of the decade. Not because of marketing or budget, but because audiences trust her. They've cried to her music. They've healed with her lyrics. They've grown up with her heartbreaks. So, when she walks onto screen, they're not just watching an actress, they're watching a friend step into a new life. That emotional investment is something no acting school can teach. It's the kind of bond that transforms a film into an event. Still, she knows expectations are brutal. She's up against critics who live to draw blood, columnists who love to say she should have stayed in her lane. And yet, if there's one thing we've learned about Adele, it's that she doesn't build lanes. She builds highways, wide enough for emotion to travel freely. Her entire career has been a rebellion against the idea of staying put. She wrote her pain, sang it, survived it, and now she's ready to embody it. On set, between takes, there's a moment people keep talking about. The cameras had stopped. Lighting reset. The crew went quiet. Adele stayed in character, eyes open, breathing slow, tears balanced on her lashes. Tom Ford whispered, "Cut," but she didn't move. She stayed frozen in silence for nearly a minute. Then she exhaled and smiled. "Sorry," she said, laughing softly. "Guess I was still in it." Everyone on set clapped. That was the moment, they say. Ford knew he had his star. As production continues, the whispers grow louder. Early footage screened for executives reportedly left them speechless. One insider said, "It's haunting. You forget she's Adele. You just see a woman unraveling beautifully." Another said, "It's awards material if the studio plays it right." And Adele? She doesn't comment. She never does mid-process. But those who know her say she's more at peace than she's been in years. Acting has given her something she didn't expect, a new language for emotion. When the cameras finally stop rolling and she walks off the set, she reportedly turns to Ford and says, "That felt like singing, just quieter." He smiles and replies, "That's what acting is." And just like that, Adele's first performance in Cry to Heaven isn't just filmed, it's felt, the same way her music always has been. The world may still be waiting to see the finished picture, but inside those dimly lit sets, something unforgettable has already happened. A singer has become a storyteller again, just in a different form. The filming wraps quietly. No red carpet, no grand announcement. Just a photo on a crew member's Instagram. Adele standing on set, hair pulled back, her costume loosened, one hand resting against a marble pillar. The caption reads, "That's a wrap on Lucia." Within hours, the photo goes viral, shared across fan accounts, gossip pages, and entertainment outlets. But what's striking isn't the picture itself, it's her expression. Calm, tired, fulfilled. There's something in her eyes that tells you this wasn't just a role, it was a reckoning. By now, everyone's talking. Industry insiders say Cry to Heaven might debut at Venice or Cannes. Studio executives hint at Oscar potential. Tom Ford, ever meticulous, refuses to comment, but those close to him say he's never been prouder. "She surprised us," one producer admits. "She didn't act like a pop star. She acted like someone who's lived too many lives." And maybe that's what makes Adele's leap into film so captivating. It doesn't feel like an escape from music, but a continuation of it. Like her songs, this story bleeds honesty. In the weeks that follow, interviews trickle out. Journalists describe her as serene, even playful. She jokes about learning camera marks, about how long it takes to film a 2-minute scene. In music, she says, you feel the moment once. Here you have to live it over and over until it's perfect. It's exhausting, but it's beautiful. There's humility in her tone, a reminder that despite global fame, she's still an artist who reveres the craft. But beneath the humor, there's an undertone of revelation. She's rediscovered something that even music couldn't give her: stillness. Because that's the irony. For an artist whose voice has filled stadiums, acting taught her the power of silence. On stage, she commands space. On screen, she surrenders to it. And somehow, that surrender makes her even more magnetic. In one leaked clip, a short, dialogue-free scene, her character walks through a candlelit opera house, grief painted across her face. No words, no sound, just her breath. Critics who've seen the footage describe it as mesmerizing. They say the camera doesn't just follow her, it obeys her. That kind of control can't be taught. It comes from truth. But for Adele, truth has always been currency. Every heartbreak she's ever sung about was an act of exposure. Every lyric a confession. Acting, then, isn't a new language, it's a new form of honesty. And that's what separates her from so many who've tried this path before. She's not pretending to be someone else. She's letting another version of herself speak. "When I read the script," she says in one interview, "I thought this woman isn't me. But she feels like someone I could have been." It's that empathy, that porous understanding of emotion that turns a singer into an actress. Or maybe it just turns her into a mirror. Outside the bubble of film sets and editing rooms, the world keeps spinning. Her fans wait. The press speculates. Social media buzzes with hashtags like #Adele on screen and #Cry to Heaven. But amid all that noise, she vanishes again. No public sightings, no teasers, no studio selfies. She goes quiet, something few celebrities dare to do in a digital age obsessed with visibility. And that silence, once more, becomes her most powerful weapon, because every time Adele disappears, she returns transformed, first with music, now with film. Then, one day, the trailer drops. It's brief, just over 2 minutes, but it stops the internet cold. A haunting violin plays over a wide shot of Venice at dusk. Then, her voice soft, fragile, speaking Italian. "They took my song," she says, "so I learned to sing in silence." The line hits like lightning. Fans replay it, dissect it, quote it. For some, it's symbolic of her career. For others, it's proof she's crossed into something deeper, something timeless. By the time the trailer ends with her face half-lit, eyes glistening, tears balanced between restraint and surrender, the world knows one thing: this isn't a novelty, it's art. And when the film finally premieres months later, the reaction is immediate. Standing ovations, critics stunned. The Guardian calls her performance achingly human. Vanity Fair writes, "She doesn't act, she exists." Even the notoriously hard-to-please reviewers, those who expected failure, admit defeat. Adele does what few can, one writes. She makes you forget her fame and remember her feeling. Award season buzz ignites overnight. Her name appears on every shortlist. And for the first time, the headlines read not Adele the singer, but Adele the actress. But the beauty of it all is that she doesn't seem to care about any of that. In post-premiere interviews, she deflects the praise with a laugh. "I'm not Meryl Streep," she says. "I just wanted to try something that scared me." The audience loves her for it, because even when she ascends, she remains grounded. No grandeur, no ego, just curiosity. That's what defines her evolution. Adele has never chased stardom. She's chased sincerity. Whether through melody or monologue, she's always reaching for connection. And that's what keeps her relevant in a world drowning in artifice. By the time the credits roll on Cry to Heaven, the camera lingers on her one last time, her face framed in candlelight, the faintest smile breaking through tears. And you realize something quietly profound. She's been telling the same story all along: loss, love, redemption. Whether through a lyric or a line, Adele is still Adele. The medium changes, the message deepens. When the lights come up, Tom Ford reportedly wipes a tear from his eye. "She gave me something you can't direct," he tells the press later. "She gave me truth." That quote becomes the headline the next morning. Adele gives Hollywood the truth it forgot, and maybe that's the essence of her journey. Not a reinvention, but a reminder that in a world obsessed with reinvention, the most radical thing an artist can do is simply be real. In the months that follow, as the awards come in, as critics and fans crown her anew, Adele returns once again to quiet. She's done it all before. She'll do it again. But somewhere in the flicker between applause and silence, she's found peace. Maybe acting wasn't a new beginning after all. Maybe it was closure, a way to translate her voice into something wordless, something immortal. Because long after the headlines fade, long after the award shows end, people won't remember the title she won or the box office numbers. They'll remember the feeling, that unmistakable ache she brings to everything she touches. And when future generations talk about Adele, not just the singer, but the artist, they'll say this was the moment she didn't just perform emotion, she became it.